Democrats sold you out. Yeah, I'm sorry I had to be the one to break the news to you, but this isn't even debatable anymore. From Obama's lies to radicals like Zohran openly declaring war on ICE, the open border scam is actually real and you paying for it. Let me show you how.
Well, ain't nobody gonna say it. Well, let me be the one to say it. Obama would have never put the whole world in danger. Obama would have never. Clock that T. Obama would have never. I said it. Sure did. He would have never did that. So everybody who voted for Trump, everybody who voted for him for ill intention, just to have hate in your heart, instead of ICE fucking with our Spanish people, picking them up from the workplaces, picking them up from with their kids, and like you picking them up from doing a fucking crime, you picking them up at places where we all go, and that's at work. So instead of y'all go picking up our Spanish brothers and sisters, how about y'all go get y'all president and go take y'all president to Iran, right to their president? How about y'all do that? Leave us alone. Leave our Spanish brothers and sisters alone and go get your president and take them to Iran. Because while you sitting up here trying to worry about them, you ain't ready for Iran. We're not ready. I don't want Iran to know I had nothing to do with that decision that dummy that he did. I did not approve of that. But nobody want to say that. Obama would have never did that.
The Obama delusion. All right. This is how washed. I'm sorry, I can't even talk. This is how brainwashed they are. And what's wild is Obama, we all know this. Obama deported more illegals than any president in history, including Trump. A little research would have taught her that, but they still pretend like he was some hero. The same Democrats who scream open borders today were running mass deportations back then. And why voters stay clueless? Look how they use emotional manipulation to keep this scam going.
It's going to help wealthy people. People on Medicaid, they don't want to lose access to health care. 1 out of 2 people in assisted living are actually on Medicaid. You know, when my dad was in assisted living, he had some savings. He was married 3 times, so a lot of that money had gone away. Better for talk about another time. But I knew the exact day that savings was going to run out. I knew the exact saving day because I was going to move him over to a Catholic Charities place that actually took Medicaid, because that was the day that his Medicaid would kick in. And it gave me some solace, even though he was in a place that didn't take Medicaid, that I had a plan for him. I had a place for him to go. He worked hard his whole life, grew up in a hardscrabble mining town. He deserved to have the end of his life be a life of dignity. It's going to help wealthy people.
First, let me say, my condolences. However, this is Senator Amy Klobuchar, and it says she was nearly in tears on the Senate floor over Medicaid cuts. Listen to the game, okay? Listen to the game. It's always a sob story. I'm not saying hers isn't true or anything like that, but we got to talk about the playbook and relate to what this overall message is. It's always a sob story. Medicaid, safety nets. But the money isn't for you. They bankrupt the system while pushing policies that benefit everyone except citizens. They weaponize empathy, and they do that to try to defend illegality. Is that the word? Did I use that right? But while they cry on the Senate floor, the elites overseas are literally glorifying the criminals. This is a Paris fashion show. I don't know about this music, so I'm going to have to go and mute that. But I mean, look at this. They're doing this apparently to make a political statement to tribute to illegals and violent criminals being held at CSOT in El Salvador, it says. I mean, look, they turn murderers, rapists, and violent criminals into a fashion statement. This is the same mindset driving the open border scam. glorifying lawlessness, glamorizing destruction. And they try to package this all up and sell it to us as compassion. Thank God we got Tom Homan out there, man. For sure, who out there. But anywho, speaking of glorifying criminals, here's the real kicker. Look who's meeting behind closed doors.
Some more great GPS tracking information from Tony Saruga. Looks like Mamdani, who just won the New York City Democrat primary for mayor there, appears to have been at Obama's place in Washington, D.C. twice in just 6 weeks. Who else was there? Leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood. And if you don't know who they are, you might want to study up on their history. They've been outlawed in Egypt, Syria, Russia, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Jordan, and, Austria under their anti-terrorism laws. So yeah, just those guys and what appears to be a couple of Iranian operatives, both who are linked to Majid Farahani because they met with him in Venezuela last summer. So sure, this is going to go great for New York City. About the way it's gone for the U.S. since Obama was president, but on steroids. Some more great GPS tracking information from Tony Saru.
You seeing the connection now? The same Obama-era Democrats and now these radical open border extremists working together behind the scenes, quiet meetings with Obama, ties to operatives. I'm just saying, it ain't accidental. It's organized. And they not even trying to hide it. They saying it out loud on camera. Look at Jamal Bowman.
Quickly, do you think the Democratic Party is going to learn some lessons from this race?
I hope so. They got to. Everyone should get on board and endorse Zohran right now because our party, our approval numbers are 20-something%. We're on life support. We allowed Trump back in the office again, and our democracy is on the precipice of falling apart. The Democratic Party has to save American democracy. And leaning into Zohran and others who are stars in our party. We got a bunch of stars right here in New York. Chia Seig, Tiffany Caban, AOC, on and on and on. Uplift them. We have to bridge the gap, the generational divide. That's happening in the party between the older, more establishment, and the younger. We have to bridge that gap to save our country.
Quickly, do you think
the Democratic democracy, huh? Nah. What they really mean is save the scam, back the radicals, protect these illegals, and fight ICE. Yeah, attack border security. Not only that, push policies that hurt the very citizens who voted them in. This is the new Democratic Party. Full send. And Zohran, he's not waiting around. He's already pledging to break the law.
Questions. Let's talk about immigration, deportation. Are you committed to keeping New York as a sanctuary city?
Absolutely, because ultimately we've seen that this is a policy that has kept New Yorkers safe for decades. It's a policy that had previously been defended by Democrats and Republicans alike until the fear-mongering of this current mayor. And it's a policy that we've seen ensures that New Yorkers can get out of the shadows and into the full life of the city that they belong to. And it's one that I will be proud to stand up for.
Well, the border czar, Tom Homan, has said that he is planning to deploy ICE agents to New York, worksite enforcement to essentially increase and enhance the number of ICE agents here. If that happens on your watch, how do you plan to handle it?
We have to stand up and fight back, and we haven't seen that from our current mayor, who has instead been working with the Trump administration to assist in their goal of building the single largest deportation force in American history. I mean, we saw ICE agents arrest a migrant at Federal Plaza, and then we saw NYPD officers arresting a pastor who was peacefully observing that arrest. Those days are going to come to an end when I'm the mayor. The NYPD's job is to create public safety in the city, not to assist ICE agents in their mission to attack the very fabric of this city.
I want to
Outright. No sugarcoating. A mayor candidate pledging to obstruct federal law enforcement. Says ICE will not be allowed in city buildings, no cooperation, full sanctuary. Imagine if you or I were going to block federal law. Let's say we said that. It'd be jail. But them, it's politics as usual. But this ain't just politics. The scam runs deeper. Straight Into the money.
So I'm a small business owner. I'm a licensed electrical contractor in the state of Florida. The only way that I can hire an undocumented worker is illegal. I either pay them cash or they provide me fake documents showing that they have a social security card or they have some sort of work permit that's fake. That's the only way. But there's a loophole. Let's just say that the employee is Pedro, because I like the name Pedro. So Pedro comes in and says, hey, how about I use my LLC because I have a lawn service or a carpet cleaning service or whatever. And Pedro forms Pedro LLC. He gets workers' comp exempt because he's the only employee, and you don't need workers' comp if you're a self-employed individual. So now he just has liability insurance, and liability insurance is pretty cheap for carpet cleaning. So now I can pay him from my corporation to his corporation, to his LLC. And the only thing that I'm required to have is prove that he's got liability and workers' comp. I didn't pay him payroll taxes. I didn't pay workers' comp. I didn't pay any of that. He didn't have to worry about labor laws. I don't have to pay him overtime. He doesn't have to make minimum wage. It's just an invoice from a corporation to a corporation. And that's how it's done. So don't tell me there's no cash in contracting. There's no cash in construction. It's just a loophole from corporation to corporation.
This is the open border scam right here. Illegals from LLCs, skip taxes, skip workers' comp, skip minimum wage. And the government lets this happen. While you, the taxpayer, are funding the whole thing. It's not a flaw, it's a design. And here's the wildest part. While they flood the country with illegal labor, they're actually mad that the border slowed down.
You know, border crossings are at a record low. Do you give the Trump administration some credit for that? And are you, when you look at those figures, do you think things are moving in the right direction, at least in that regard, Senator?
No, I don't give them credit for that because border crossings are low because they're violating the law every day. So we have a law in this country that says if you are fleeing terror or torture from another country, you can come here and apply for asylum. The Trump administration has suspended that law. They are not allowing anybody to come here to apply for asylum. We wrote that bipartisan bill last year to reform the asylum process, to make sure that only the right people are coming in and that we judge those cases expeditiously at the border. So it's true, there are very few people crossing on a daily basis, but that's because the Trump administration is violating the law. And it should matter to every American that on so many facets, the Trump administration doesn't care about the law. This is becoming a lawless administration. We are on a road to see our democracy atrophy to the point that it will be unrecognizable. And the border is just one example of many ways in which this administration doesn't care about the law anymore.
Listen close. I don't give Trump credit because he's violating asylum laws. Translation. Let me translate that for y'all. I got y'all. Y'all know I'm going to do my thing. You know what I mean? He's saying, I'm upset the flood of illegals slowed down. This is the Democrats' mask off moment right here, man. They don't want a secure border. They want it wide open by design. As you see from Obama, you got Zohran trying to continue the legacy Obama left, apparently, with this whole illegal situation. And the Democrats backed it every step of the way, from what I'm saying. It was never about helping you. It was about power, cheap labor, votes, and turning America into this playground of lawlessness, for lawlessness, rather. And they doing all that while we pay for it. Y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life.